And we are live. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Freedom Alternative.
Right.
I am here with two Kekistani refugees. One is Yonuts and one is Sarah. Hey there, peeps.
Hi, man.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Glad to be finally back here in Kekistan. I was stuck in Normistan for a while, and as a result, we couldn't do this earlier. So
Correct.
let's get straight into the meat of the issue. We are here because you guys and another comrade of yours who hopefully
That's
will
right.
be joining
He's
us
running a little late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll be coming.
You brought our cause as Kekistani refugees. You brought it straight into the Romanian mainstream. So tell us, how did that go? And
Well,
how did the idea got born to begin with?
Right. Well, originally we made. So this all started at the Women's March, right? There was a march against violence against women, and we got a couple placards from them, right? They were giving out free placards. And on one of them, actually, could you go get it? Show me.
Yeah, sure.
So we found one placard that said, the authorities are oppressing us by not caring about us, basically. Autoritățile ne agresează prin nepăsare.
Okay.
And we thought, what other community is oppressed by the uncaring authorities, right? And so, hey, we have the sign here, actually. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of huge.
this is what it looks like. It's a little big.
Yeah, the authorities are committing aggression against us by not caring about us. Hashtag, I can't see the hashtag stop.
Stop violența împotriva femeilor. But
Okay, stop violence against women. That was appropriate treatment for that bollocks.
I suppose, yeah. So we went there, trolled the shit out of them. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We sang a Hostvessen lied, right? Anyway, and I figured, why don't we make a couple appropriately Kekistani placards, right?
Because guess who's also oppressed?
Guess who's also oppressed? Yeah. And so by then, I'd been a member of the great nation of Kekistan ever since its inception in 2016. And I was really doing my duty, right? This is my patriotic duty. I really had to express myself. Sarah had a sign as well. Sarah was the one who actually did all the artwork, basically, right? I gave her vague instructions, and she managed to, scrape together a pretty decent sign.
Yeah.
And then there's hers. This is a sign that she carried. Now, we were hoping we'd get a bit more exposure with the signs. Only one of them was caught by the cameras, but this is the other one that we made. See?
Weaponized autism.
Yeah, we really tried it out, man.
Yeah.
We were doing our best. And
David was the only one who made it out to the front row.
yeah, my broad shoulders are both a blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm. We were.
So we got to the front about halfway to Romana, right? From Victoria. That was fun.
Yeah.
And we just stayed there for the rest of the march.
Yeah.
You stood in
and
the
then
front of the line, right?
Right. And then we got to Unire, right in front of the Parliament building. And there was a big group of journalists with cameras on the sidewalk, right? And they were essentially just flashing signs.
Yeah.
And they were just flashing signs to the cameras, right? There was like a big gallery. And we figured we should get in there real quick. And we did, right? I have a friend who's a journalist who helped me get in front of cameras, in front of the Parliament buildings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It all went very smoothly, yeah.
Yeah, so basically we have a Kekistani infiltrated within the cathedral.
Exactly.
Right.
Nobody really noticed.
Yeah,
Nobody.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
So hundreds, thousands of people saw our sign, right? Because when we walked back from the square, right, we were walking past the inflow of recent protesters, and we were still holding our sign up, and thousands of people saw it as we passed by, but nobody noticed it, right? Nobody reacted.
Especially while you were in the front row
Yeah,
with the other people, nobody gave a shit.
While the march was still going on, there were only a couple signs, period. There was the big banner that they were holding in front of the march, and like 2-3 other placards up front, right? Which is why it was so easy for me to get the sign into the spotlight.
Yeah, because if there aren't many signs in a huge gathering, usually people that do have signs, the rest of the rest of the march tends to give them some sort of priority.
Yeah,
so
they tend
can
to gravitate towards the front.
Yeah.
And it really shows how disjointed the protest was, right? Because nobody knew why they were there.
It was a social gathering.
It was a social event,
exactly.
right? People were going, come on, man, let's go walk the dog at the protest, right?
Yeah.
Basically,
I actually saw a friend of mine walking his dog at the protest. It was yeah, like that.
It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, last time I saw this, but I didn't get. It was only one dude, and who wasn't trying to get attention. There was a praise Kek sign in those big protests last winter, if you remember.
Was there?
Really?
Yeah. And by the time I turned my camera to videotape his sign, he was just gone. And I kept on walking in front of the protest. Maybe I can find him again, and I couldn't. But it was the same atmosphere, more like a social gathering. Yes, there were like 50,000 people here in Cluj at its height of the protest. But still, I mean, most of the people had no ideas or only a vague idea at best.
It's absolutely, let's go protest, guys.
Yeah, I've been to so many
Let's
protests,
do something
and nobody actually goes there to fight for the cause. Maybe like 30%.
Yeah, because they're trying to do something exciting, right? Because they live such empty lives. A protest means a lot to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably this is why in that part of Normistan in Romania they have the protests during the winter.
Yeah,
there's not many things to do during winter time.
Winter is protest season, and that's amazing, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's November and December. It's usually the protest season. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but then when you think about
make any sense. There's no reason why the winter would be the protest season, man.
Well, again, there's not many things to do during winter time, so having something outside to warm up a little bit, that's quite attractive, I suppose.
Well,
I wouldn't know.
Like huddle together and they give you like umbrellas.
They got free coffee.
Exactly.
There's a whole economy at the winter protests in Romania,
and it's kind of sweet.
Plus, you said that there's not much to do here in Romania during winter. That's very wrong. Us Romanians have very fast internet, as I'm not sure you've.
Even Bernie Sanders noticed that.
Of course, yeah. You made a video about it, right?
Yeah, I did. That was over 2 years ago. Gosh.
Yeah.
It seems like forever. I mean, now I looked through that video once because someone asked me a detail about something that I asserted then.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, the data that I presented in that video is so outdated.
Of course, yeah.
Because time goes on very fast on the internet. Speaking of that, speaking of time going on fast on the internet, let's talk about the reaction to your signs.
Oh.
How about we do? Yeah.
I wasn't expecting national television. I was expecting like a reaction, like a comment on Facebook. "Lol, what's that sign?" But not national television.
Yeah, the CNN affiliate Antenna 3 did a whole talk show. Well, not I would be exaggerating to say a whole talk show.
Yeah.
But they had an in-studio, inside the indoor panel discussion about it, about 10 minutes. Right. I promised that I'll subtitle that. I will eventually, but again, I was stuck in Normistan with slow internet. Anyway, so they called you anarchists. They called you supremacists.
There's a... let's see if we can pull up the transcript because it's really amazing.
Yeah, the transcript of this panel discussion. Yeah, that's really... that's really something to keep in mind.
Not that one.
So what we're gonna do right now is gonna have a look. They wrote an article. Vice wrote an article, and they had the transcript there.
Yeah, Vichu also wrote an article. Oh, bloody degenerates.
Yeah, no, it's on your PC because I wrote it. I was.
All right, here we go. So here's what they said. Boy, God, it's amazing. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
No, so like we knew that if old people were going to discuss Kekistan, these are the terms that they're going to discuss Kekistan in.
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious because it's a given that if SRS and Harnaja discuss this, they're going to use terms like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's explain those terms for the
Right.
for the wider Kekistani community, all the refugees watching us from the diaspora. So SRS is a journalist, so Soinos Castanescu, sort of formerly respected journalist, basically a leftist partisan hack these days. And the other guy, Harnaja, that guy was the chief of the intelligence service at one point in time.
That's right. Until 2005 or something.
Something like that, yeah. Until basically the non-insane reform came in and swept them all.
Right.
Yeah. So and then there was the moderator. I don't remember the name of the moderator because I don't know people from the
Ana Maria Roman.
Ana Maria Roman. Yeah, she's basically on the CNN payroll.
That's right.
That tells you everything you need to know. So yeah, these people were discussing the signs, and they were discussing Kekistan, and I think Harnaja was the most adamant about it.
That's right. No, because he's the one who claimed he had information.
No, he kept assuming stuff. It was very funny.
What he did was, he's the one who noticed the sign and brought it up, and so they held a little panel discussion about it, and he said, "I have information concerning this anarchist movement," and it was amazing because he started spewing off these weird, complete non sequiturs, like it's KKK affiliated.
And the Kabbalistic signs.
Yeah, they have like Kabbalah signs and.
Yeah, I never understood that portion. Maybe you have more.
It's the
like look. Here's the sign.
Yeah.
Where's the Kabbalah symbol, man? This literally says Kek on it, man.
Yes,
How can you not?
an E, and I don't.
Like, dude, for real. Yeah.
Yeah, he kept on insisting on the part of the Kabbalist signs. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah, Free Kekistan, I don't know what this means. Some Kabbalist signs. This is Soinos Castanescu saying. Yeah, and the former intelligence guy says an anarchist movement radical that has a symbolistic very close to the Nazi symbolism of the KKK, of the new right, and of the neo-Nazi wing.
That's right. By the way,
go ahead.
Sarah is actually the one who did the transcript, right? Immediately afterwards.
Exactly. It took like 5 minutes.
We assumed, for some reason, they still haven't, but we assumed that they would take down the article and the video off their website, right? Because they got the little highlight.
I downloaded it immediately after it.
Me too, yeah, because I was in it, and the thing is, we expected them to take it down like immediately, but they didn't for some reason. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like their actions, there's no way of, because I've been complimented for really sticking it to them, right? Sticking it to Antena 3 with my trolling. But the thing is, I have nothing against them personally, right? Those people, I don't care about them. It's just, you can't say this kind of stuff and get away with it, right? It doesn't make, what he said about Kekistan doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I wonder what Harnaja got all that stuff from.
Yeah, I've got some theories, but...
He asked a friend. He went on Wikipedia, read like 2 sentences. Like,
maybe he saw the flag of our glorious country, and the flag is sort of a parody against
it is a parody
movements.
We make fun of the far left by spoofing identitarian movements, but we also make fun of the far right by with stuff like this right here, right? That's a parody of the Hakenkreuz.
Yeah, but then again, these people are not. I mean, Harnaja and Soinos Castanescu, they're very old people, and they're not familiar with the concept.
That's exactly it. We're not blaming them necessarily for saying the things they did. Again, if any old person was going to discuss Kekistan in this context, those are the exact terms that they're going to use, right? That's a given.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's interesting is that being the partisan hacks that they are, the CNN affiliate, the same panel tried to then pin this alleged extremism of our glorious country on the politicians that attended to the marches. I mean, I don't know if you were aware, as being there in the square, that there were several politicians, including the former prime minister and whatnot. And the partisan hacks at the CNN affiliate tried to say that then maybe the politicians approve of this, and if they don't, maybe they weren't aware that there's such extreme extremism in the extreme presented in the available in the square.
That's right. That's right. No, because like, what is it that he asked exactly? He said, "I wonder if Dacian Cholosh, the former prime minister, knows who he's getting affiliated with here. I wonder if he places himself in the same column as these people. You know, and man, it's just they can't stop spinning it. It's amazing.
No, but it was hilarious.
Go ahead, sir.
No, she's just saying it was really hilarious.
Yeah.
You can't stop the spin.
You can.
And you can see the intelligence. Well, actually, I should say all-time intelligence training in Harnaja's speech, because he's like, I don't think it is a coincidence, because the organizers that I've seen dealt with it the day before or in the day that protest took place to bring people, extremely numerous NGOs and the regular people. I don't think they knew the syntaxms and the political orientation of this movement.
These are subversives.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness,
we are subversives. If you gotta think about it.
That's what I was saying. I mean, in fairness, you admitted it yourself that you had a Kekistani refugee, or maybe a friend of the Kekistani movement, infiltrated in the Cathedral Media to make sure.
So to speak, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So in a way,
what's the network? There are plenty of disgruntled young men here in Romania who end up joining the Kekistani movement. By the way, I have a stutter, so I talk like that.
Yeah, and some of them I've seen because I've seen inside the Kekistani Council. Some of them have gotten their Kekistani passports.
Of course.
Yeah, and of course some of them. I presume you are also a veteran of the Great Meme War.
Of course, I am first and second Great Meme Wars.
There you go. There you go. I mean, there is, and when I posted this piece of news in English first, I posted it on Facebook before I got suspended again for the billionth time.
Yeah, zucked.
Yeah, I got zucked. I'm zucked on both my my accounts with the main name. That's why I contacted you through a spoofed account.
Right.
Yeah, I got zucked because I said
a Czechoslovak spoof account.
Yeah, but the thing is that I said that the employees of Salon.com need to be helicoptered. Apparently, that's how I'm on Facebook.
So hard to swallow for them.
Yeah, well, I had a good reason to say that. I mean,
you all have good reasons to shit on Salon, dude.
Yeah, well, basically they said that Donald Trump, our great God Emperor, declaring November the 7th the day for the remembrance of the victims of communism. Salon said that that's a very, very far right move.
It's practically Holocaust denial.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I said you all need to be helicoptered, and apparently that's not kosher to say on Facebook. It happened. Yeah, the guys know. Anyway, the thing is that before I got zucked, I posted this, and there were Kekistanis from Panama, from Mexico, contacted me and said, "Yeah, well, we have a very strong diaspora. Our support for the refugees in Romania." So, what do you have any other plans? Because you said previously you've trolled the Women's March. So do you have any further plans to forward the Kekistani agenda?
That's right. A few days ago, there was a protest in front of the Social Democrat Party's headquarters, right?
And we said, let's.
We thought about going, but then, we just decided it wasn't really our cup of tea, right? Speaking of cups, because people were very angry, right? People were furious, right? There were clashes.
They might just recognize our signs.
Also, more importantly, we got all the exposure we needed. In fact, we got way more exposure than we bargained for. Let me tell you. Yeah. So we just weren't ready for that. But maybe if there's something big coming up in the future, maybe like the LGBT march next year, we might make some new signs. We might get a group of friends together. Yeah.
I called my friends the first time we went to the protest, and they all couldn't go. And I'm really sad, like, for them. I wanted them to partake too. Maybe next time.
If everything had gone well, there would have been 6, 7 Kekistanis at the march. But it was just us. We were 3. Me, her, and our friend, who's late for some reason.
He said he'll be here in like 10
He said he'll be here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not going to go too much with this stream. Maybe another 30 minutes or so, and then.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, because we don't want to bore the Kekistani diaspora because there are many.
Yeah, plus there's not that much to say about the situation. Like, there's no, you can't. Again, you can't spin this, even though they tried.
Yeah. Well, it was really fun making the signs and like coming up with the cash bases and stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we made 3 signs, complete with slogans, complete with tags. And
that one has Kekels, weaponized autism, and Normie's get out.
Kekels and weaponized autism, and
Normie's get out.
And on the third one, it says Normie's get out. Right?
Yeah.
It means house.
The thing is that it's going to take some time. I mean, you can probably pull another 2 or 3 of these kinds of stunts until at least someone in the cathedral will figure it out. But once they do, I would love to be a fly on the wall in their editorial rooms until they figure it out. That our president is big man Tyrone. So the chaps you just called racists, they take orders from
the racist Cameroonian man.
the racist white supremacist.
The racist white supremacist Cameroonian man. No, see, our mom actually held a pretty high position on Antena 3 in 2012 or so. And so she was pretty important there, which is why for her, it was to get back at her old employers, right? Because
she
everyone has a reason to shit on Antena 3 for some reason,
Yeah, she saw Ana Maria Roman and my old friends.
Oh, my old friends fucking up again.
So I presume this is not the first time that particular editor pulls these kinds of stunts.
Well, I mean, it's certainly for the first time we did it, so we didn't expect anything of the sort.
As I said, one Facebook comment.
Reactions like this, completely out of place reactions like this, happen all the time in Romanian mainstream media. Come on, just the sheer incompetence that we see.
Yeah, in fairness, I gotta go a little bit lighter on the Romanian media, because if you compare it with the CNN, the mother station of Antena 3, Antena 3 is actually remarkably decent, and that's not a compliment.
Yeah, but I mean, they are shills.
Of course. Yeah. Speaking of your mother, your mother wrote an article that in itself became sort of viral-ish in the Romanian language internet called "LOL, you made a fool out of yourselves."
Made fools out of yourselves,
yeah. I still have like mixed feelings about that LOL. I'm not like.
No, so the first thing we did after we came back home, we said, "Hey, Mom, look, there's like, we got in front and we put up the signs and shit."
Yeah, we waited like 3 hours for the photos. I kept checking social media. Are we there yet?
Not 3 hours, way longer than that. We weren't finding any sort of response to this. We weren't finding any photos where you could see the signs. We weren't finding any live footage or video where you could actually, where you could see us marching. So we just sort of got a little discouraged and gave up.
Yeah, I lost faith. I thought
we both did, yeah. And the second day, right, we woke up. Yeah, I was getting all sorts of messages. Dude, check this out. You're on Antena 3.
Oh, yeah.
They're making fun of you, saying you're an anarchist and shit.
Yeah. While you were speaking, and obviously carefully listening, because I still have split attention, I'm looking at the article written by Vice Romania, which is worse than the standard for Vice in a way.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because I mean, I do expect everything, because I consider Vice to be,
they went ahead and interviewed us, actually.
Yeah,
we have a
nice coffee shop, sat down.
We got a piece of paper. We drew some basic Kekistani symbols. We told them the story of Kekistani ideology and history, right? We made a little graph of them, but I mean, come on, they're Vice.
Yeah.
This is the first
quarter, have like 3/4 of that.
What are you on about, mate? What are you on about?
Dot.
Anyway, so yeah.
I was about to ask, how did the journalist or the journalists, if there were two of them, Yeah, because the article appears to be written by two people. At least that's what they say.
He was
How
written
did they
by,
treat you?
right.
Because there is and I need to put this out there, there is a habit on Vice, particularly the quote-unquote journalists that work for Vice Romania, to be relatively nice with you when they speak with you. And then when you see the article that comes out from the conversation, it's usually a hit piece or something significant, even if it's nothing worse than what you talked about, but definitely very, very distorted. Did the experience was the experience similar?
Well, not exactly, because we knew the journalist, right? The only reason why we ever accepted to talk to her,
she was a friend of Mom.
To them, Sarah used gender neutral pronouns.
I'm sorry.
Kick.
Forgive me.
Yeah. To them was that we knew her. Them, fuck. And
it's never going to work with us.
I know. And we just figured that we stood a chance to get an honest take on Kekistan for a while, out into the Romanian youth circles, right?
Yeah.
It didn't exactly work out. The article wasn't what we expected, but it was,
Yeah.
You can't, beggars can't be choosers, right? We are strangers in a strange land, right? Romania isn't meant for Kekistanis exactly, so we have to really pick our battles carefully.
Yeah, we're a tight community.
A very tightly knit community. That's right.
Yeah, well, nevertheless, I mean, I think the appropriate territory to build a free Kekistan should be the modern day Romania in a way. I mean,
absolutely,
it's such a fun country.
Yeah,
I agree.
It is the main reason I never left. I mean, I travel a lot around the world. I mean, I've been traveling almost non-stop in the last 7 months, and I still do have a lot of traveling to do by the end of this year. But nevertheless, I never leave for good or for very long periods of time from here, because it's such a fun country, and a free Kekistan built here would be fantastic.
The reason why my Romanian is so broken and my English sounds so southern is that well, first of all, I never went to school, right? I learned at home, and I learned online, and I learned in English.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Two, I had so much free time, and my parents had this dream of taking us everywhere, right? That I traveled a lot.
Yeah,
in my
we
childhood.
both did.
We traveled a lot, and I can safely say, out of all the places I've seen on 3 continents, the most. So I have a dream of a Kekistan stretching from the Carpathians to the Black Sea, man. That's where you build Kekistan.
Yeah, not to mention that it would be very appropriate with our map, our historical map of free Kekistan. It's very close to the young Turkestan and very close to Russia, very close to Normistan and southern Normistan. So yeah, it would be quite appropriate. And yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I've been through the several dozens of countries already, and I will be through a lot more than those. And I became a lot more of a not just conservative and libertarian, but also a lot more patriotic and a lot more Kekistani.
It does tend to do that.
The more I traveled, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm still reading through the Vice article.
Oh yeah.
Because it says here, this is real-time translation, so apologize for mistakes. It says here, Kekistan looks simple, but some parodies can be very hard to swallow, such as the memes with free helicopter rides, which make ascending to the throwing people off helicopters by the Pinochet regime, or the shouts of the Kekistanis as normies get out, which parodied the sinister Judenhaus of the Nazis. And to top it all, the symbols of the Kekistanis, like the Pepe the Frog, have been adopted by dubious right-wing extremists who follow the ideological current of the alt-right, close quote. The thing is that Pinochet wasn't throwing people off helicopters. He was throwing communists.
He was throwing communists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I do believe in human rights, but communists are not human.
Exactly. Who was that Yugoslav partisan? No, he was a mercenary, and he was asked in 1970-ish how many people he'd killed, right? And he said, none. I've only ever killed communists, right?
Yeah. Raphael something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Rafav Ganovic.
There we go.
Yeah, Afganovich. Yeah, he said he was asked. He worked for the CIA as a mercenary.
That's
After he also worked for the underground Polish government during the resistance against the Nazis.
Right.
And he killed several hundreds at the very least. Extremists, collectivist extremists. That would
Yes.
be both National Socialists and International Socialists. And yeah, when he was old, he was asked by some American broadcaster, "How does it feel to take a human life?" And he says,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know. I've never killed a human.
Yeah. So the thing is that the Vice, I don't want to call them journalists because they're not. The Vice hacks, uh, they really don't get it. I mean, and it's. I don't think it is really surprising. I mean,
Here's an amazing thing, though.
Go ahead.
Because we managed to do something absolutely spectacular. We managed to get a relatively neutral article, right, written by the Romanian division of of an extremely biased organization, right? Because Vice London, right? They're headquartered in the UK, I think. They're extreme. They have an extreme leftist bias, right? The fact that we managed to get an article published on Vice with a relatively neutral take on Kekistan is a fucking achievement.
Yeah, it is. It is. Although, again, in fairness, our press, the press in Romania hasn't been particularly, I mean, it has been biased in favor or against certain politicians, but it doesn't have a particular history, at least not in the last 15 years, of extreme ideological bias. They usually have the bias of you're with this politician or with that politician, but they rarely have this overt militant.
Hey man, how you doing? So our comrades here. How you doing, man?
Hello.
Say hi to Lucian.
Hello, Lucian.
What's your name, brother?
Alex.
Okay, hi there, Alex Shadilay.
Hey, he marched with us, man. He marched with us. Yeah,
I was in the back.
That's right. We made him a sign. We met up, and he grabbed it, and he went to work, man.
Right. So you had the Normies Get Out sign or the weaponized offer?
Yeah. That's what they had.
Yeah.
Normies Get Out.
Right.
Never yelled that much, but
yeah, I was the one yelling the slogans.
he was the voice.
Yeah.
Right. David and Sarah told me that most of the time people just didn't give a shit in the during the march and while you were marching and trying to get in front with the signs. What was it? Was it your experience similar, Alex?
Yeah. Nobody knew what those signs meant. Nobody cared.
That's. I mean, sometimes I have to ask. I mean, Romania has one of the fastest internet speeds in the world, yet so few people hang on the internet where it matters, because otherwise there are about 10 million people who are connected. So it's not like people don't have internet connections, but they just don't seem to hang on enough.
Right.
Yeah. They're not really familiar with the whole Kekistani thing very much. We have our own problems, and I think that consumes most of the attention of people. Identity politics and this kind of nonsense hasn't really become a thing in Romania yet, so people don't really know what the hell this whole thing's about.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't catch much on, which is good, and which is another reason why I do support these kinds of Kekistani outreaches here, because if we Kekistanis go there first with this nonsense and satirize and destroy it and bulldoze it before it even gets built by the normies, then when they will come with the serious identity politics,
we'll be waiting.
Not just that, but it will act as a vaccine, because if we make Kekistan known before they make their own identity politics known, then it will be known that it is essentially a joke. So when they will be trying to make themselves known, it will be already too late, because in the public conscience,
non-binary people, sort of like that Kekistan thing, right?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's the kind of reaction that we need.
Yeah. I'm looking forward for the first feminist. I don't know. Maybe Mihaela Miroiu will try this, or that. That friend of that progressive guy, what's her name, Stalinoiu, something, whatever, some commie. I'm waiting for the first attempt to create gender neutral pronouns in the Romanian language, because that will go down very well.
It's gonna be great because I remember when they tried to do that in the Spanish-speaking countries, and they had a really big issue. Like you'll see the SJWs on the internet using Latinx, right, instead of Latino or Latina. That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Sure, or there is also the occasional at, as in emails, you know, the at for amigas or AMIG at S. So that's friends in the neutral way, because in Spanish, just like in all Latin languages, you use the masculine neuter rule. So it's amigos for everyone. Same thing happened in French recently. The Emmanuel Macron-led government introduced some gender-neutral spellings where there is a deliberate midpoint somewhere in the word, so it can be gender-neutral. And the Académie Française were like, "This is an abomination."
Based Academy, right there. Based Academy.
And the thing is that. There's actually a scandal now in France, because the Académie Française is like, no, this is an abomination. It's hard to spell. It's insane, and we have a responsibility to keep the French language as we inherited it and pass it to the next generation. Meanwhile, the manufacturers of French keyboards, they're trying now. We're going to introduce the midpoint onto our keyboards starting next year, and I'm like, as if the French layout is not complicated already.
Of course.
So I'm looking forward to have that thing. If they try that thing here in Romania, I think we should gather on and try to introduce the Kek symbol also.
Exactly, we should put the Kek symbol, right?
There should be a Kek key on the keyboard.
This key right here. It should be on every Romanian-made keyboard.
Like a good idea. But I think they're already trying to infiltrate for a few years now to actually start pushing these progressive, progressive in quotes, ideas on us. Last year I saw an article, a local city council was gonna receive sensitivity training about the Holocaust, but also homophobia, and it was from a Jewish organization called Elie Wiesenthal, who only dealt with Holocaust, but seemed to be teaching people about homophobia as well, which I found extremely odd. I didn't understand what's the connection. Okay, I get it. They're going to tell them about the Holocaust, but why are they teaching them about homophobia?
It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I was just reading before we got live about a local pub here in Cluj who banned, or maybe canceled, I should say, canceled the concert by some hip-hop band that recently came out in favor of normal families, normal two-parent, opposite sexes families, basically against gay marriage. And that pub canceled. Yeah, but basically they came out as normal people. And this pub said, we're going to cancel your concert. And okay, fair enough, freedom of association and whatnot. But their reasoning was absolutely hilarious. They said, we're not going to tolerate racist and xenophobic content in our pub. And I'm like, what's racist and xenophobic by being for normal families?
Oh my God,
everything that disagrees with the ideology, everything is racist and homophobic, and
everything is racist, everything is homophobic, everything is sexist, and you have to point it all out.
Yes, I recently saw an article. I think it might have actually been on Salon that said that no, it was worse. It was on BuzzFeed, and the article said Taylor Swift is complicit to systemic racism by not engaging in the cultural dialogue, right? I'm using, I'm more or less quoting them verbatim. Silence is considered deviation, right?
Silence is considered approval.
Exactly.
If you don't speak out against these things, then that must mean you approve them, and you are all the labels that they want to give you.
Yeah, you approve rape culture, systemic racism. You approve. Well, what else they have? Like they got
misogyny, racism, bigotry, intolerance,
and of course, how dare they fascists speaking on campus?
On Antena they did call you. They did
call me fascist. So they said
call everybody fascist.
That they're an anarchist fascist organization is amazing.
Which
because words have no meaning
The
anymore.
contradiction.
Yeah, I mean, words have no meaning anymore. I mean, you have anarchists that actually have an organization, which implies hierarchy, and then you have the anarchist organization, which is already a contradiction, trying to form a state. The freak.
That's right. The state, a virtual state. The anarchist organization trying to form a virtual state based on the precepts of anti-Semitism, fascism. It was hilarious, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, speaking of fascists on campus, I mean, just a few days ago, Ben Shapiro had a speech on I think it was on UCLA, and they called him a fascist. I mean, that guy is an Orthodox Jew.
Oh, for sure, yeah, no, he's getting called. It's hilarious when these guys, Gad Sad, Ben Shapiro, get called Nazis.
Milo,
Milo, you know,
who's gay and
when they get
half
called
Jewish.
Nazis and racists, and Milo's married to a black dude. You know, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is really hilarious. Same happened with Ayan Hirsi Ali. She was called a white supremacist. I mean, Ayan Hirsi Ali is blacker than my keyboard. I mean, come on, for crying out loud.
Wait,
and she has actually been through some stuff.
How black's your keyboard?
Well, blacker than Ayan Hirsi Ali. Let me put
There we go.
Anyway, it says, I'm still reading with this on this Vice article because it's so fantastic. It says here again, real-time translation quote.
Live translation.
The Kekistan had an important role in Donald Trump's victory in 2016. This is true. And then it says the Kekistani see Trump, whom they call Pope Trump, as a slap given to the system, to the American establishment. Dudes, we call him God Emperor, not Pope.
That's right. No, but they meant Papa Trump. Yeah. We call him Papa Trump too.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no.
Daddy Trump.
I never called him Papa Trump.
I always call him Papa Trump. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, and they reference the whole thing with the dubs.
That's right. That's right. No, so they tried to explain dubs. Man, it's amazing. Yeah.
Right.
The more they try to explain it, the more they try to make sense of it.
The deeper they sink.
The stupider they look, actually.
Right. So, other than the next LGBT march, thing is that I can't engage in this because I act as local press here in Cluj.
That's right.
So I cannot be also trolling and being a press at the same time. But maybe I can find several. There must be more than 2 Kekistani refugees in this city.
I think there's a bunch of us.
Oh, there's a bunch of us everywhere, dude.
Yeah, we have about 4 friends.
Yeah, between us, we can gather a dozen Kekistanis, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I said, 2 of my friends were missing out on the first.
That's right.
Yeah.
The internet is constantly red pilling the teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's not a bigger recruiter for Kekistan than the what Andrew Clavin calls the knucklehead row, which is the opinion section of the New York Times. I mean that place recruits much more Kekistanis than any of us could even begin to dream. I don't know if you guys follow the New York Times, which is a former newspaper.
I
did. At some point in the past.
There you go. They recently published an article that said, "Can my children be friends with white people?"
I saw that. That article was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm still considering doing a video about it. Basically reading it and saying, "Can my kids be friends with black people?" And then change change a little bit. No. I want to change the title and then change a little bit.
That's right. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, pull a Mark Twain on him.
I saw the interview with on Tucker Carlson with the guy, and he was just speaking constant nonsense.
And Tucker Carlson made the Tucker Carlson face.
Yeah. Well, I would make the Tucker Carlson face in front of such stupidity.
Dude, I would make the Tucker Carlson face all day long if I was in his position.
Right.
And the guy was trying so hard to find some sort of justification why he's not racist when his gross generalization over an entire race of people, it should not be considered racist and it's justified somehow, man.
Well, if you try hard enough, you can justify anything, such as the Kekistan is an anarchist organization. I mean, if you try hard enough, you can justify.
Not logic and facts, just with your imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
If you use your imagination hard enough, you can justify anything.
Yeah, if you try hard enough, you can justify that gravity doesn't exist. So
yeah, the Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat.
Of course it is.
Wait, the Earth is not flat?
Of course it's flat.
Of course it's flat. Yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah.
The internet agrees that it's flat.
There you go. There you go.
It's fact, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, think about it this way: we have universities and university professors, including in Romania, who try to justify that biological sex doesn't exist. So it's not really that hard.
Yeah.
And we paid.
We got that over here.
Of course, look it up.
We have that already.
Of course, and it's been there for several years. I'm surprised you don't know about it. It's called.
I have no idea.
Yeah, the Gender Rights and Minorities. It's called. It's a master's program at the National School of Public Administration, CNCPA. Yeah.
Right.
Of course, it's CNCPA, for crying out loud.
The focal point of the ideological infection.
No, yeah, there you go. I mean, that place has been the focal point since the 40s, since the commies turned it into a cadre school. And it has been there since forever. Yeah. Right.
They basically went back to the roots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm doing a video right now. I'm editing it. I'm hoping to publish it next week. There is another study that came out from a British university that says that the rise of bromance is a danger for women, and I want to ask myself, when is the next celibacy tax coming up? Just like we had back in communism here.
That's right.
At the very least, let's be consistent.
It's right around the corner, man. Let me tell you.
Right. So the next LGBT march, should be respecting any other plans for the Kekistani outreach in Bucharest?
I cannot wait for the next march.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a sufficiently hypocritical march before that, right, I would love to go.
I'm probably in.
If we're free, we're definitely in. We're definitely going with the signs. We're definitely making more signs.
Making more signs for
we need a flag. We need a Kekistani flag.
A proper flag. Here's the thing about flags, about Kekistani flags specifically. Whenever I see them in pictures of protests, they've always got those little fold lines, right? Mm-hmm. You have to iron your flag out before you take it to protest. Just a public service announcement, a PSA for the international Kekistanis out there. Iron your flags. You're making us look like morons.
And clean out your rooms while you're at it.
Absolutely, and clean up your rooms, and a Jordan Peterson a day keeps the psychiatrist away. Absolutely.
Here's the thing: because I'm in a couple of Jordan Peterson groups of sorts. I'm on a forum too, and they received the news of my stint on national television very well, right? Like the fellow Petersonians had a lot of fun with what I did, right? Which is really cool.
What did the H3 podcast come out?
Oh yeah, you should watch that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, the Jordan Peterson is such a value for our community because he was the first academic to seriously analyze the metaphysics of Pepe, basically in the mainstream.
There were other academics that were aware of what was happening and were kind of seeing part of the picture before him. But he saw the big picture. He saw how everything connected, and he explained it to everybody he could.
Compelled to speak out, right? Compelled to speak out. He talks about the power of eloquent speech, and he applied that power to the best of his abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, being as precise as possible in your speech, trying to get your point across with the minimum amount of misunderstandings.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, basically, as my father used to tell me, just think for 3 seconds before you open your damn mouth. It's so useful, believe me.
Always good advice.
It's a good reflex to have.
Right. Indeed it is. Right. Thank you all for joining this stream. I think if we keep it shorter, we have a much higher chance of people actually watching it.
Of course, watching it all the way through. Yeah.
And next time I'm in Bucharest, maybe we can meet all 4 of us.
I love it.
And make a video with more proper cameras and more proper lighting and without that stupid writing that's behind me.
What is that?
Yeah, we can put the lines up.
Yeah, decorate this room Kekistani style.
Exactly, yeah.
With our flag, that will definitely
just painted green. Yeah.
Oh.
And then we can project anything because then it looks like a green screen.
Yeah,
See, this is why you need to become Kekistani.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah, what you say?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, anyway, right, so with that, all of that being said, thanks guys for joining, and
thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
And for the rest of everyone else, I'll see you all soon on the Freedom Alternative.
Share